Most people grow up believing one idea. If you work hard enough, you will eventually succeed. Work longer hours, push harder than everyone else, outwork the competition, and eventually the reward will come. But if you look closely at the real world, this idea starts to break apart because the hardest working people in society are often the least powerful. Construction workers work incredibly hard. Farmers work incredibly hard. Nurses work incredibly hard. Yet many of the people who control the largest outcomes are not working the longest hours. This isn't because they are lazy, it's because they are using something else. Leverage. Leverage is the difference between effort and influence. Effort means your results scale only with your time. If you stop working, the result stops. But leverage changes that equation. Leverage allows one action to create results many times over. One decision, one system, one piece of work, producing outcomes repeatedly. This is why leverage always beats effort. And once you understand this principle, you begin to see the world differently. Most people are trapped inside effort. Very few people are building leverage. Think about the structure of a normal career. You trade time for money. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of pay. Maybe you improve your skills. Maybe your hourly value increases. But the structure never changes. Time goes in, money comes out. This means your ceiling is always limited by the number of hours in a day. Even the most disciplined person cannot escape that limitation. But leverage breaks that limitation. Leverage means the result continues even when you are no longer present. A system continues to operate. An investment continues to grow. A piece of intellectual work continues to create value. A business continues to produce results. The effort happened once, but the outcome repeats. This is why some people eventually escape the trap of constant effort. They stop focusing only on work and start focusing on systems. Systems multiply effort. Without systems, effort decays. Think about the difference between two people. The first person works extremely hard every day. They complete tasks. They finish projects. They stay busy. But everything they produce requires their constant presence. If they stop working, everything stops. Now imagine another person. Instead of focusing only on output, they build structures. They create processes. They document knowledge. They design systems that operate without constant supervision. At first, this seems slower. Building systems takes time. It requires patience. It often looks inefficient compared to pure effort. But over the long term, the difference becomes enormous. The person focused only on effort remains trapped inside activity. The person focused on systems eventually controls outcomes. And this is where power begins to appear. Because power is rarely about working harder. Power is about shaping the structure in which work happens. If you control the structure, you control the result. If you only participate in the structure, you remain replaceable. This is why leverage is so powerful and why most people never pursue it. Leverage requires a different mindset. Instead of asking, how can I do more work? You begin asking, how can this work continue without me? That single question changes everything. It forces you to design systems. It forces you to think in decades instead of days. It forces you to build things that compound. Compounding is the quiet engine behind leverage. Small improvements repeated over long periods of time create massive differences in outcomes. But compounding requires patience, and patience is something most people struggle with. The modern world rewards speed, fast replies, fast decisions, fast progress. But leverage grows slowly. Systems take time to build. Reputation takes time to develop. Knowledge takes time to deepen. At the beginning, the results may look invisible, but the structure is forming beneath the surface. And eventually, the difference becomes obvious. The person focused only on effort is still running, still busy, still trading time for results. But the person focused on leverage has built momentum. Their systems produce outcomes. Their ideas spread. Their reputation opens doors. Their work begins to multiply. And suddenly, it looks like success arrived quickly. But it didn't. It was a result of years spent building leverage. This is why the 10-year mindset matters so much. If you are thinking only about this week or this month, you will always choose effort. Effort produces immediate results. Leverage requires patience. But if you are thinking in decades, the decision becomes obvious. You stop asking how to work harder and start asking how to work smarter, how to build systems, how to create structures, how to position yourself where your actions create larger outcomes. And once that shift happens, the game changes. You are no longer competing only through effort. You are building influence. You are building systems. You are building leverage. And over time, leverage always wins, because effort eventually exhausts people, but leverage multiplies them. That is the difference between working harder and working strategically. And understanding that difference may be one of the most important realizations you ever make. Because once you see the world through leverage, you cannot unsee it. You start noticing systems everywhere. You start recognizing structures. You start asking different questions. Not how hard something is, but how scalable it is. Not how much effort it requires, but how long the results can continue. Those questions slowly transform how you approach life. And over time, they transform your outcomes as well. That is the real shift. Not working harder, but building structures that make your effort count more. That is the real strategy. That is leverage. And that is how people slowly move from constant effort to real influence. Pause. There is another reason leverage matters so much. Effort is fragile. The moment something interrupts your ability to work, your results stop. If your income depends entirely on your daily activity, your stability is always temporary. An illness, a market shift, a company restructuring, any unexpected change can instantly remove the system you rely on. This is why effort alone rarely produces long-term security. Leverage creates resilience, because leverage is not tied only to your presence. A system can continue operating even when you step away. An investment continues to grow. A piece of intellectual work continues to reach people. A reputation continues to open doors. In other words, leverage separates your results from your immediate effort, and that separation is where real freedom begins. But building leverage requires something many people avoid: delayed gratification. When people first begin working towards success, they naturally look for immediate feedback. They want proof that their effort is working. They want visible results quickly. Leverage does not always provide that. In the early stages, the work feels invisible. You might be building knowledge. You might be designing systems. You might be developing skills that do not immediately produce income. To someone watching from the outside, it may even look like you are moving slower than everyone else. But underneath that slow movement, a foundation is being built. And foundations are what allow structures to rise higher over time. The people who eventually gain the most leverage in life are often the ones who spent years building quietly. They studied deeper. They developed rare combinations of skills. They built networks that compound over time. They invested effort into things that could grow without constant supervision. While others were chasing quick wins, they were constructing long-term advantages. And those advantages compound. That word, compounding, is one of the most powerful ideas in strategy. Small advantages repeated over time create enormous differences in outcomes. A slight improvement each year can produce massive results across a decade. But compounding only works when you stay consistent. Most people interrupt the process. They start something new every year. They change directions frequently. They abandon systems before they mature. Every time that happens, the compounding process resets. And resetting compounding is one of the most expensive mistakes people make. The strategic thinker understands this. Instead of constantly chasing new opportunities, they focus on strengthening the systems they already have. They refine them, they improve them, they allow time to multiply their effects. Over long periods, that patience becomes an advantage because the world is filled with people who cannot wait. People want results this month, this quarter, this year. Very few people are willing to invest effort today for results that may appear 5 or 10 years later. And that is exactly why the opportunity exists. When you are willing to think in decades, you automatically move into a smaller field of competitors. Fewer people are thinking that far ahead. Fewer people are building that patiently, which means the leverage you build faces far less competition. And that is where the real advantage appears. Not in working harder than everyone else, but in thinking longer than everyone else. Once you understand that principle, your priorities begin to shift. You stop chasing activity. You start designing structures. You stop asking how to do more. You start asking how to multiply what you already do. That is the mindset shift that separates effort from leverage. And once that shift happens, you begin playing a completely different game. Pause. This channel is about strategic realism, how power, leverage, and long-term thinking actually shape the real world. If you found value in this, share it with someone who still thinks in weeks. And if you want more long-term strategy like this, subscribe to the channel.